Thank you for returning to the Exporter Sports Talk Show. I am your host, the NFL Exporter. You are listening to Raw Radio. Want to make sure each and every Wednesday night you catch us here, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's go ahead and rip through week 4 of the NFL games. We've got Green Bay traveling out to Chicago, inner division rival there. Certainly a lot at stake, even though it's early in the season. These teams are very familiar with each other, but I have seen Green Bay have a great deal of success against Chicago. I think Green Bay knows their backs are against the wall going to Chicago. The Packers certainly don't want to drop to 1-3. But Chicago's been playing good football. Both of these teams are going to have some pretty nagging injuries coming in this one. Primarily, we're talking about Brandon Marshall. Don't know what his status is going to be for this game, as well as Clay Matthews. Nonetheless, I think that Green Bay will be a play or two better than Chicago. This is going to be a very close and contested football game. Nonetheless, we're going to go with the Packers playing with sense of urgency. I think Eddie Lacy will be able to find some success on the ground, and Aaron Rodgers really has played average in 2 of the first 3 games of the season. I understand the matchups, but this guy is supposed to be an elite quarterback, and the performances that he put out at Seattle and at Detroit are just not what we're accustomed to seeing. So let's go with Green Bay in this one, 30-27. Buffalo traveling out to Houston. I think the Texans can rebound at home. Now, obviously, if running back Arian Foster is playing, is going to be a huge key here. I think that the Texans defense will be revitalized returning back home, giving quarterback E.J. Manuel some trouble. He may very well end up giving up his first turnover of the year, but these teams are more evenly matched than what it appears, at least coming into the season. Again, E.J. Manuel, the quarterback for the Bills, has done a great job, has not turned the football over. That's allowed the Bills to be in each and every game. That was certainly a key for them. But the Bills have got to find a way to have Sammy Watkins, their rookie wide receiver, as well as C.J. Spiller, the 2 most explosive weapons on offense. Those guys got to get involved a little bit more. Again, this one really depends on Arian Foster's health. If he's playing and fully healthy, we like Houston rebounding at home. But again, this is going to be much tougher. The Bills' defense has played extremely well. Let's go with Houston in a tight one, 23-14. Tennessee is traveling to Indianapolis. We already covered that game for you there. We like the Colts winning that one, 24-13. We've got the Carolina Panthers traveling out to Baltimore. This should be a defensive battle here. Carolina is going to be coming in undermanned at the running back position, and I think that's what's ultimately going to break this team. The Ravens are tough against the run as is. Their defense plays extremely well at home. I just think that right now the Ravens are a little bit more healthier and a little bit more balanced. And so we're going to take Baltimore in a very close one. I think Carolina's defense can keep them in this one, but at the end, it's not going to be enough. Let's go with Baltimore 23, Carolina 17. Detroit traveling out to the Jets. I see this one kind of shaking out the same way it did last week when Chicago came to town. You have a Jets secondary that is very young. It's banged up. Certainly can get pressure, but blitzing every single down is something that I just did not understand what Rex Ryan did last week. So maybe he'll mix up his coverages a little more. But last week against Chicago, he just blitzed 7 and 8 men every single time. Made it very easy for the Bears to know what they had coming. They were able to do some screens, some quick hits, and I just think that this Detroit Lions team is better right now. Now, obviously, losing Stephen Tulloch is going to be a huge challenge for them. You know, the Jets want to run the football, and he was a great, along with DeAndre Levy, stopping the run. You are a little concerned here. You know, the Detroit doesn't run the ball particularly well. But again, at the end of the day, I think that Geno Smith will find a way to turn the football over. Again, I can't fault him all the time due to the weapons that they have for the Jets. But we're going to take Detroit winning this one on the road. Let's go with Detroit 27, the Jets 20. Tampa Bay traveling out to Pittsburgh. This would really be a game that Pittsburgh dominated if it wasn't for them losing 3 of their defensive starters. That defense is already a little shaky. I think Tampa Bay is going to come in this one pretty motivated. At this point, they have nothing to lose after being embarrassed on Thursday Night Football, 56-14. A lot of uncertainty. You don't know if Doug Martin, their starting running back, is going to play. You have a new quarterback in Mike Glennon stepping in for Josh McCown, who was hurt. Nonetheless, you got to like Pittsburgh at home. Think that offense can continue to take advantage of Tampa Bay's lack of a pass rush. I certainly like what Le'Veon Bell can do on the ground. We're going to take Pittsburgh in this one. Could be a lot of field goals. Nonetheless, let's go with Pittsburgh 23. And go with, matter of fact, let's go with Pittsburgh 26, Tampa Bay 17. We've got the Miami Dolphins traveling out to the Oakland Raiders. This is a trap game. The Raiders have yet to win the game this year. They're at home. This Dolphins team is coming out there with a lot of adversity. I think this could go one or two ways. We could see the Raiders play inspired football and pull out a home victory in front of the home fans. I mean, after all, they're going to have to win at some point. But again, the Dolphins defense has played tough. They've really struggled on offense. And so, as we seen last week at New England, the Raiders are tough against the run. And if Miami is forced to become one-dimensional and pass the football, there's no telling what can happen, because the Raiders do have some guys in Khalil Mack, in Justin Tuck, and Lamar Woodley who can get after the quarterback. And so we're going to go for an upset here. This Dolphins team is reeling. Let's go with the Raiders at home, winning on a last-second field goal, 20-17. The Jacksonville Jaguars are traveling out to play the San Diego Chargers. I don't think there's much to talk about in this one. We're all going to be excited to see rookie quarterback Blake Bortles on the football field for the first time. Again, the only thing I think our concerns for the Chargers is trying to get past their injuries. They're without Ryan Matthews. They're without Danny Woodhead, their top two running backs. They've lost Nick Hardwick, their starting center. They're going to be without Manti Te'o, their starting linebacker. They're without Melvin Ingram, an outside linebacker. Nonetheless, though, Phillip Rivers is playing very good football, has really refound his groove with the protection he gets up front. And San Diego's just a flat-out better football team, especially on the defensive side of the football. Very underrated group. Let's go with San Diego running away with this one at home, 30-17. Atlanta is traveling out to Minnesota. I think that Atlanta's offense is just too high-powered for that Minnesota Vikings team. Now, obviously, the Vikings know that they are without Adrian Peterson. They're without Kyle Rudolph. You got Teddy Bridgewater, another rookie, stepping in as a starting quarterback. I think they'll have a lot of energy in the beginning and trying to keep this one close. But again, at the end of the day, without the ability to run the football, a lot of pressure on Teddy Bridgewater to deliver. I think the rookie will play well, though. But again, I think Matty Ice in that offense just too high powered. It's in a dome, so it'll be a very familiar surroundings for them. Let's go with Atlanta in this one, 27-20. Philadelphia is traveling out to San Francisco. Real intriguing matchup here. Eagles have trailed in 3 straight games, but have found ways to turn it on in the second half and do what they have to do for a win. 49ers have struggled. It's really been inconsistency, though, for them. After winning in Week 1 at Dallas, they were haunted by 4 turnovers in Week 2 with Chicago. Last week, only ran the ball 9 times with their running backs. That's just not what we're accustomed to seeing for the 49ers. Have been unable to get pressure on the quarterback. Couldn't even get a sack on a backup quarterback last week. And Drew Stanton, who also hit him up through the air for 244 yards and 2 TDs. I tell you what, I'm leaning towards the 49ers at home. Just think that they'll be able to rebound. Philly can afford a loss in that weak NFC East division. I think the 49ers will come to their senses and get back to running the football. But I will say this, and also Philadelphia is going to be down a couple starting of offensive linemen. But I will say this, if San Francisco cannot get pressure on Nick Foles, he will certainly eat this secondary up. And if that offense does not elect to get back to pounding that football, this could be a game that the Eagles win. Nonetheless, we're going to go with the 49ers at home in this one. You know Philly can put up the points. Let's go with San Francisco 31, Philadelphia 24. New Orleans is traveling to Dallas for a Sunday night football game. Certainly should be a lot of points put up in this one. Neither one of these teams are playing much defense at all right now. You got Drew Brees and Tony Romo going head to head. I like Dallas being able to continue to run the ball effectively. This one here is a toss-up, but I think that the Saints don't want to drop to 1-3. I think that offense can get back on track against a Dallas defense that gave up over 340 yards passing to a third-string quarterback. Drew Brees, I'm quite sure he'll be licking his chops, but New Orleans is going to have to run the ball effectively. I think New Orleans can pull this one out on the road. Again, Dallas in that weak NFC East division can afford to take a loss. Let's go with New Orleans in this one, 30-24. Rounding out the action will be the New England Patriots playing the Kansas City Chiefs. And excuse me, that's the Monday Night Football game. With the way that New England's playing right now, this should be a close game, unless they have some type of aberration. And we certainly know that Bill Belichick and the veterans over there can light some fire under this team. But Kansas City is running the ball extremely well, which has been a weakness for the Patriots, and their defense can certainly get after the quarterback and Tom Brady. And so we're going to go general consensus here. We'll take New England on the road, but I think it's going to be a much closer game than anticipated. Let's go with New England 24, Kansas City 17. And Thursday night football, we want to make sure that you're prepared for that game. Got the New York Giants traveling out to play the Washington Redskins. This is another game where neither defense is playing extremely well, but it is a short week. These Thursday night football games have been dominated by the home teams. Seattle blew out Green Bay in week 1, had Baltimore dominate the Steelers in week 2, had Atlanta put the smack down on Tampa in week 3. The Giants obviously going to be coming in with some confidence after finally getting a win. But I think that Washington is set up for a victory now. Them losing their defensive back, D'Angelo Hall, could be costly. But I think that the Redskins are a field goal better than the Giants. Let's go with the Redskins at home, 27-24. That's going to wrap up another edition of the Exporter Sports Talk Show live on Raw Radio. Once again, you can find me, the NFL Exporter, on Twitter and Facebook at NFLExporter. You can also go to youtube.com, click on channels, put in NFL Exporter, or in the search engine on youtube.com, put in NFL Exporter on Raw Radio to catch any past episodes. Make sure to hook up with Raw Radio on Twitter as well as Facebook under Raw Radio 1. You'll see the logo there with the double R's. The call-in number as always is 716-249-0552. Email address is TESS@rawradio1.com. To thank my special guest today, Mr. Kevin Bowen, checking in from the Indianapolis Colts. He is a writer for the Colts.com. He's going to be making sure to check in with us every couple weeks to keep us updated on what's going on with the Indianapolis Colts. Everybody have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Enjoy the big Thursday night football game. Enjoy all the action on Sunday, and make sure to join me, the NFL Exporter, right here next week, same time, 6 p.m. on Raw Radio. I am out of here signing out. 1100.